What's up, y'all? Sorry for being gone for the last couple weeks. I have been buying a new car, which I think looks she. I've been working on my painting. I added Alan Jackson confronting his hipster doppelganger for a grape snow cone, as well as Shania Twain waiting in line for the bathroom that says, "Let's go, girls."
That don't impress me much.
Yes, I am still working on that painting. Thanks for being patient with me. And I also have been working on my pull-up game. And you know what? Even though there's a little kick here, I am counting this as a pull-up and a major victory. One of my 2020 goals checked off.
So let freedom ring.
And all the while, I've been listening to this onslaught of new albums, and there have been a lot of them. So this is going to be timestamped down below. It's only going to be albums. Singles, it's kind of hard to do because there's so many pre-release tracks from every album, but I'll try and do a singles video after this. But for now, just click around. Here's a bunch of new country albums. The first album I want to talk about is Thomas Rhett's Country Again, Side A.
Oh man, it feels good to be country again.
To me, this is extravagantly the best album that Thomas Rhett has ever put out, and I think there is truth in the name Country Again, because here we have one of the poppiest of all the pop country stars really making an album that is clearly attempting to bring in a lot more organic instrumentation. You get cool moments like this big bazooki kind of line on the song Growing Up. You'll hear harmonica on You Heard. There's even a ton of fiddle on Blame It on a Back Road, and mostly you just get a lot of acoustic guitar. To a lot of people, this is still just gonna sound like a pop country album, but if you are familiar with other Thomas Rhett songs like Craving You, you'll know that this album sounds substantially more country, often more acoustic than his normal work.
Get a little older, get a little wiser, a little more turn that cheek.
And I think that's cool. I always think that's cool when a big pop country star does that. And I wish the sales out of the gate for this were a lot stronger, because I'm like, man, maybe it's just me and you guys on this channel that are really wanting this for the pop country stars. But damn it, I'm gonna affirm this because I think it's a great move. There are two major themes on the record. One of them sort of about returning to a country way of life, and the other one about maturing and becoming more of a good husband, father, family man. To that first point, we've got the title track, Country Again, which is, I think, a really pretty song. I don't think the writing is that confessional or deep or personal. I think Thomas Rhett is always going to have a tendency to want to go for the more general audience with pretty broad themes, but this song is about how he's been out in California, but he wants to kind of return to Georgia, and he has returned to Georgia, and he's made a fire with his wife, and it's almost reflecting on this pandemic year and saying, man, it feels good to get back to my roots and to crank up some Eric Church and to be country again. Is it a little checklisty? Yes. Is it nice to hear all that steel guitar and a sincerely held lyric? Yes. I think this song is a way better thesis statement for the record than the lead single, What's Your Country Song?
Everybody got a small town anthem. Everybody got a story.
Which is one of those songs that I think is kind of dumb, where they're just figuring out how many different country titles and references they can thread into the lyrics. This says something similar in a way more elegant way. As does the song More Time Fishin', which talks about skipping your phone like a rock and just slowing down and taking life a little easier and spending some more time fishing and less time rushing around. That song is definitely on the poppier end of the spectrum, but it is so fun. I found myself returning to it because it's very catchy. And the same fun energy is on a song like Blame It on a Back Road,
Blame it on the back road. Yeah, blame it on the back road.
which admittedly features a lot of the cliche country tropes of Chevys and dirt clouds and wailing on the radio and all that stuff that we've heard in a million country songs. But it has a really fun energy that's driven with really complex, fun fiddle. And honestly, it makes songs like this that might feel super cringe if just given your standard slow electric guitar country radio sound along with the snap track so much more charming. On that other theme on the album of growing up and becoming a family man, we have the song Growing Up, which I've talked about a number of times and I really adore. There's one called To the Guys That Date My Girls, which I think is a really fascinating perspective addressing the future suitors of his daughters. I laughed really hard at the line where he tells the guys that you always need to leave room for Jesus when you're with her, and if you don't, well, boy, you're gonna need him. But the best song in that category, and I think the best song on the album by a mile, is the final song, You Heard.
And I'm pretty sure you heard.
This song feels a little bit folksy, and it's filled with harmonica, like a lot of harmonica, not just a little bit of it kind of layered in there. It's kind of driven by the harmonica. And in this song, he is thinking about his relationship with God and wondering if his prayers were really making it to God and getting answered. And all the times he prayed for a wife, and then he prayed for a successful career, and then he prayed for a family, and then taking stock of his life and looking at his wife in the eyes and seeing all the people in the crowd and seeing his daughters crawling up on him and realizing like, oh God, you heard, didn't you? And I think that reflection upon growing up and developing into a family man really is his special, unique perspective as a performer. I love that. It's right there on the song Life Changes, which I think is the most interesting Thomas Rhett lyric, and it's here too. Maybe it's not boyfriend country, maybe it's like husband country or dad country or whatever it is, but I think that is what Thomas Rhett offers as a songwriter that is his most compelling narrative. And as a side note, I get a little frustrated that it feels like the only time God is kind of evoked in country music is when guys are reflecting on their hot wives and their great families and how God has blessed them and made them famous and rich. Like, that's kind of annoying to me because it's sort of this like prosperity gospel version of God. But that said, this song, I think, is a nice and very sweet moment of gratitude. I do think there are some duds on the record. I am not a fan of What's Your Country Song, and I'm really not a fan of the Hardy collaboration on here, Put It On Ice.
Put it on ice, put it on ice, put it on ice and drink it down.
To me, that song sticks out like a sore thumb. It just doesn't feel kind of relaxed in the same way the rest of the album does. I find Put It On Ice, when said so quickly, sort of awkward, and the huge programmed drums on this song just make it feel so shallow compared to what surrounds it. The other tracks on here that I haven't mentioned, it's not that I think they're bad, I just find them kind of boring. But I think there's like 5 or 6 really solid songs on here, my favorites being Growing Up, You Heard, and maybe like More Time Fishing or Blame It on a Back Road, one of those fun kind of poppy country ones. I just wish the writing were a little more specific and a little more personal, but I'm really encouraged to see this. I think I gave Center Point Road a 5, and I think I would give this like a 6.3, and it's like a really solid step in the right direction. The other big one in this album cycle is Miranda Lambert along with Jack Ingram and John Randall releasing the Marfa Tapes.
Wishing I was in his arms tonight.
This is Miranda Lambert kind of going all Zach Bryan on us, super lo-fi, and releasing what sound like songwriting demos that were maybe recorded on an iPhone around a campfire with 2 prolific songwriters out of the Texas scene that everyone has always felt deserve more credit. They are her co-writers on the song Tin Man and have also co-written a number of popular country songs, but have never really gotten the respect they deserve. And so Miranda's like, hey, I got a big platform. I'm bored during quarantine. I'm on top of the world with another #1 in Bluebird. Let's just continue to be a leader and put out something badass.
And you can have my heart.
It's hard to really think of this as another official Miranda Lambert era because it was clearly released really quickly and on the fly, and you don't necessarily have all of the photo shoots and music video framing, and you kind of miss that. You kind of want the gravitas of an album era. But at the same time, that is the magic of this project. It feels so on the fly, and it feels so cool that Miranda did it. What I like about this album is the exact same thing that I loved about the Panhandlers record, and it's that we're getting such a sense of place. Just in the word choices of having little phrases like homegrown tomatoes and Waxahachie and all of the references to tequila, even lines like am I right or Amarillo, which is just, it doesn't make sense, but it's hilarious. You really feel like you're down in Texas, and man, to me that makes music feel so cool. I love the sense of place that's in country music, and I love that this record takes me to Marfa with them. Instrumentally, there's nothing going on this album other than just that guitar, and they were figuring out these songs and they capture the spontaneity of these writing sessions. Sometimes you can hear one of them laugh kind of in the background, or you can hear on Geraldine when Miranda Lambert is figuring out this Geraldine.
Geraldine, Geraldine, why you gotta be so mean?
It's fun to hear her sort of play around with that on the fly. But if you want the big production, if you want the kind of wonder of a steel guitar behind some of these songs or the swelling of strings, you're not going to like the Marfa Tapes. It's really lo-fi. There's so many great lyrics on this album that there's no way I can go through all of them. There's so much specificity. Like, here's the first stanza of Homegrown Tomatoes. Sitting in the shade, loaded lemonade, watching the hummingbirds, humming me a tune all afternoon, best song I've never heard. Texas sky and big blue eyes staring over aviators. Got a big boom box, bullet on the rocks, Homegrown Tomatoes. And for a song that is referencing Homegrown Tomatoes by Guy Clark and just talking about cranking that up and feeling kind of just basking in the Texan glory, you love to hear all those specifics. You love to hear hummingbirds and bullet and aviators all getting named and kind of painting that picture for you. I feel totally opposite about a song like this than I did hearing about the Chevys and the dirt getting kicked up by the trucks. You know, these are images I'm not used to hearing, and that makes them just feel so fresh. Geraldine is another song with some lines that really make me laugh. I love when she says, "Your trailer park pretty, but you're never gonna be Jolene." I think that's probably the most fun song on this whole collection. Some of the more somber moments are my favorites though. The song Ghost, I think, is so pretty.
'Cause now you're just a ghost.
I think it sounds just like In His Arms.
And I wish I was in his arms tonight.
Like melodically, I think that, but I think Ghost is so gorgeous. And then my overall favorite is the song Waxahachie.
Waxahachie, are you still on 35?
Which is a city in Texas and kind of, I think, is the stand-in word for some sort of long-lost lover that our narrator, Miranda, is wanting to see. And so the song is kind of this poetic thing you have to piece together about leaving Louisiana and longing to be in Waxahachie. And she leaves this lipstick letter on a bourbon buzz on the mirror with this lover back in New Orleans, and they break up and she just like needs to get on I-35 and get to Waxahachie. There's this high note where she's like, ooh.
Waxahachie.
Almost like Elsa in Frozen 2. And it's definitely fun to hear the songs where Jack or John are taking lead, but as far as just a distinct, memorable voice, it is Miranda's. And I think the songs that work best on here are the ones where Miranda is taking lead. But man, these people write good music together. Like I said, it feels so focused and so cool. I almost wish that the music felt a little more focused. I don't mind some production. I like a package pulled together. At the same time, I'm very charmed by this record, so I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth. I think I'd give it like, I don't know, an 8 out of 10. It's just really fun. I just feel like Miranda so has her mojo with her right now. It's like, you know, Weight of These Wings, I never cared about as much as everyone else did. I felt like it lacked some punch, but just everything Miranda touches right now, I feel like she's just nailing.